Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to today's Pick a Card reading. Today we are looking at why you feel the way you do. This is the reading for you if you've been feeling some kind of way and you don't know why. So we'll be getting into why you may be feeling the way you do and what to do to make yourself feel better or to clear that energy. And we have 3 piles to choose from, piles 1, 2, and 3. I really enjoyed filming these. I know that love readings are more preferred, but I really felt called to film this, and I know I haven't been posting as much, so I have been trying to post more love readings since I know a lot more people want to see them, but I just felt very called to do this, so I did it, and I hope it is helpful in some way, shape, or form, and that you take whatever you need from this video. Thank you for being here with me, and yes, enjoy. I will leave you to focus on which deck calls to you the most, and I will see you soon. Hello, my beautiful pile ones, and welcome to your reading. I already got you some oracle cards, and we will start off with these, and then we have some tarot to clarify, and we will get tons of advice and channeled messages from the universe / your higher self as well. So let's see. To start off your reading, we have Mercury, Mind, Gemini, or Virgo energies. Could be significant, but they don't have to be. We have number 55, Suspicion, and 39, Intuition. One thing that happened is I was shuffling this deck, and a card just was like sticking out a little bit like this. And my mind just said suspicion. And then I flipped it around and it was a suspicion card. So one thing this tells me from the way this card came out, I think you are very intuitive. We also have this intuition card, but that was just double confirmation that I think you have a very strong intuition, but at times you may have trouble differentiating between information that is coming through from your intuition versus information that is generated through anxiety or self-limiting beliefs or just unhelpful thought patterns that we may have. And this is entirely normal. I think it's very common as well to have difficulty sometimes knowing where the information you are getting is coming from. And I think the reason you may feel odd or just a little bit off or a bit weird or on edge. I'm saying all these because I don't know what the title of this video is going to be yet. But it feels like there is just this mix-up of channels. Like what is coming from anxiety may feel like intuition to you at this moment in time. And this specifically feels like it's around a situation that you specifically may have manifested, or a situation that you value a lot that you would like to call into your life or keep in your life. It feels like there is something that is important to you that especially may trigger this kind of energy where you have difficulty figuring out whether the information is coming from intuition and an inner knowing, or whether it's coming from just self-doubts. And for most of you, I feel like it's important for you to know that this thing that you would like to keep in your life, it's not something that's going to go away just because you may have anxieties or negative thoughts around it. You may even worry about changing the outcome by just worrying about it, or like waking up one day and feeling not as great about the thing that you are manifesting or this thing in your life. I don't think you have to worry about losing this thing, because I strongly disagree that manifestation works in a way where I've seen it talked about in this way, which is why I'm specifically saying this now. And I believed this when I first got into it as well, that my emotional ups and downs would also affect what I want to keep or call into my life. But the thing is, you are human and your emotions are not what defines you. They are not necessarily the energy that defines you. Emotions are just things that come and go. Emotions just flow through you as long as you let them flow through you. In the sense that just because you feel bad one day, or you're upset, or you've lost hope about a particular thing, and you can't help the intrusive thoughts that are coming in, it doesn't mean that you're back to square one. It doesn't mean that you will now be punished for feeling bad, or everything you've worked for is now gone because you had a day that just didn't feel that great. And it's not even just about one day, it can be more than one day. Just to make that clear as well, there is no like strict limit of you can feel bad for 3 days, but if you feel bad on a fourth day, then everything goes away. It's still the same system, I want to call it. In the sense that as long as you set the intention that you want something and want to keep it in your life, and it is aligned with your highest good and what you want, the path you see for yourself, because sometimes we may not see all of the details of a situation either, so we may not have the best understanding of it. Though I'm going off in a tangent a little bit, because I feel like for this particular situation, this is something that is meant for you right now, and it's not something that you are going to lose or something that is going to pass you by. But I think one reason you may feel so off about it is it's not because the universe is giving you a warning that this thing is going to be lost if like you don't get your act together, or you don't feel better about it, or anything of that sort. I think you may feel odd specifically around this situation, or because of this situation, because there are just fears and anxieties and maybe some beliefs around it that are not entirely accurate. But whatever you're feeling, whatever it may be, it is not something telling you like this is wrong or it's all gonna be destroyed or anything along those lines. This feels like there is a lot of mind-centered energy with this Mercury coming out. I believe we are still in Mercury retrograde as I'm filming this, though I don't know when you're watching, so that may not be the case anymore. Good for you if not. But I think there is just rumination around scenarios relating to a specific or maybe a bunch of situations that you really want in your life. But these scenarios are not a reflection of what really is going to happen. So while rumination around what could go wrong or how this might go wrong will make you feel anchored down and weighed down, it's not going to change the outcome of this situation. Although, of course, it's a whole lot easier said than done to say, like, oh, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. So I completely understand that. But I think it's important to notice that by worrying about something, you are denying yourself peace, and you are prolonging any potential suffering that may or may not happen in the end. And I think by looking at it that way, it's kind of easier to soothe yourself and say, nothing has happened right now. I have no physical proof that something is going to be lost or something is going to go away. I think it's important to take notice of how you may frame certain things around this situation, or maybe in general as well, if this is like a pattern that you see yourself in. And I think that could make a whole world of difference. Because I think you are a very powerful manifester. I think you are very intuitive. But I think it may sometimes play against you if you're feeling not your best sometimes. In the sense that I think you recognize you are very powerful, but it almost feels like you may be scared it's going to work against you. But I think there is a line between intentions and then intrusive thoughts that are very normal, that come and go, that absolutely do not define you or reflect what is actually going on in your situation. So if this resonated with you and what you're feeling or what you're going through, we will now get into the tarot and look at any other details around this situation, any possible outcomes, essentially whatever wants to come through right now and whatever is important for you to know about this situation or about how you're feeling about it. I feel like sharing something I heard a while ago, but I can't remember from where anymore, or when. But it was something along the lines of, the universe never says no. It either says, yes, here you go, not right now, or wait, because there's something better and you may change your mind. And that really resonated with me, and I kind of saw it play out in my own life as well. So maybe that is something that makes sense to someone. We have the Seven of Swords, so I think there is definitely this fear of things getting away, or not seeing something, or not being prepared for something, or someone being... For some of you, you could be dealing with a person, and you may be worrying about them not being reliable, not because of something that they have shown you, but there seems to be some miscommunications for some of you, or potentially miscommunications that stem from past trauma that one or both of you may have brought into your connection. It doesn't have to be about a relationship or a potential, like, romantic interest necessarily, but for some of you, it feels like you're doubting the words, or you're looking for more words in between the lines that they didn't say. And of course, this does not apply if you are in a situation where someone has given you a real reason to, like, not trust them or be cautious towards them. But if you are in a situation where the person or The situation itself has not directly shown you that you shouldn't trust it or rely on it, or that you should move away from it, then I think it could help to give it the benefit of the doubt and see how it plays out. We have the Tower. Scorpio or Aquarius energies could be significant. We have the Five of Cups in reverse. I heard you are not going to be disappointed. Two of Cups. So there's that relationship kind of energy. But at the same time, with these two cats, this feels like you and your higher self. Because this one's a tiny bit like, I don't know. I feel like this is the higher self cat. And this is almost saying like, we're in this together. You're not going to be disappointed in this situation. It feels like it's not like a clock that's ticking and it's about to be destroyed, but I'm thinking of the crocodile from Peter Pan. So maybe crocodiles or Peter Pan are significant. I had a huge crush on Peter Pan when I was younger. But the way I'm thinking about kind of like Peter Pan, it gives me eternal child energy. There is an eternal child card, or like child eternal, in one of the decks I have. And it's making me think of that card. Like, for some of you, this could be a wound that stems from childhood. Something to do with attachment styles, maybe an anxious attachment style. So inner child healing or connecting with your inner child, literally just talking to them, could be beneficial in figuring out the root of why you may have doubts or self-doubts or thoughts around that in this situation. We have the Hermit in reverse, some more Virgo energy. We have the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. These thoughts may arise especially when you are not in the physical presence of this person. So for some of you, you may just be in separation from them, or you may be at a long distance, or you may not get to see them very often, or even if you do, you may just kind of have a lot of intrusive thoughts whenever you are not around them. So like you see them every other night, but then the nights that you don't, you may have a lot of intrusive thoughts. And I think these thoughts and you possibly questioning whether they are a reflection of reality is what may be making you feel kind of weird. We have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I think you're divinely guided and divinely protected. And I often don't say things like this in readings because I don't know. I just don't tend to say things like that. But this feels like it rings very true for you. And like you can readily access this divine guidance, but sometimes it's just too many voices in your head or like on the external. Maybe it just feels like an overwhelmed, overloaded kind of energy. So you may want to check the sources where you get information from, whether these are other people, tarot readers online, including myself. If this reading isn't giving you what you need, then no point in watching it, and it goes for any reading or any content that you may consume. We have the Lovers, Gemini energy. We have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. This is telling me that any thoughts that may come in that feel like it's the end, or it's going to be the end, for some of you, you may have a bit of a black and white thinking pattern where something is either at 100% or it's not there at all. But I think it's important to recognize that this is not the case for most situations, if any at all. We're all gray. People are gray. Situations are gray. And even if you have some obstacles along the way, it does not define the entire situation necessarily. If this is not about a relationship or a specific person, I lost my train of thought, but I was looking at this Lovers card, and it feels like a clearing of some kinds. Like, it feels like direct contact or direct connection, which, for one, Gemini energy always makes me think of communication. And I think, for one, if you are in contact with this person, it's important to communicate with them clearly. Not being like, not pointing fingers or anything along those lines, unless they have done something that requires a finger pointing. But just being open, knowing that you are safe to be open and honest about what you're feeling, because otherwise this person will not know. If you are in no contact with this person, I think this could be a time and an opportunity to really deepen your connection with your intuition, your own inner voice, your higher self, and getting kind of like a clear read on what's coming from where. And I dropped a card on the floor. And we have the Three of Pentacles. For some of you, this could be like something you applied for as well, that you have dreamt about for a while. It could be like a childhood dream that you're afraid is going to be lost and not achieved. But it feels like things are working for you behind the scenes, or things have worked for you or are working for you in a way you don't seem to fully see. And I think it's important to kind of sit down with your thoughts and see what's really going on, and judge the situation for what it truly is, rather than what it could have been or should have been or might be. Because for some of you, it almost feels like you may be aware that you have these intrusive thought patterns, but yet you may still be unable to let them flow, and you may end up holding on to them a little bit more than what may be helpful. or what feels okay. So I feel like it's important to notice if you are kind of spiraling, and then acknowledge that you are spiraling. These are thoughts that are flowing through you. They don't define the situation, and they don't define you. Now let's get some channeled messages. For some of you, you may be feeling like you have to make a decision about something, about this situation, maybe. It feels like you're kind of feeling a situation out. And maybe that's why there are a lot of doubts that are coming in, because you are still seeing what the situation is bringing. It feels relatively new in some sense, so it could be someone coming back, or a new relationship, a newer connection, or a connection that's on a new level, on a different level than it used to be before. If this is about a connection, or if it's about an opportunity, a business opportunity, study opportunity, then I would guess that it's something that is bringing change, because that's what the energy feels like on that end. Though we have the Lovers and the Two of Cups, which for me are like the two couple cards. And you could be polyamorous as well, or whatever you want to be, but when I say couples, I mainly mean just a connection between two people, manifesting in however way feels right for you. But this feels like a time of deepening connections as well, and not just with others, but with yourself as well. So I think there are obstacles kind of being cleared along the way, which may feel like rough, weird energy to deal with, but I think you're going to be really relieved once you take notice of what's going on. I was in the middle of getting messages, but then I kind of just went off talking again. But we have moved into an energy of gratitude. This for me is basically, I wrote it because I wrote it for anxious times. So I think bringing your energy to your present moment can be very helpful in regulating the nervous system, especially if you feel yourself spiraling. So I don't necessarily mean just gratitude in the sense that I'm grateful for the roof over my head, but also mindfulness and presence kind of play into the same energy for me. I should probably have separate cards. Maybe I do. But let's keep going. We have, there is no need to rush, especially if you feel like you have to make a decision or like walk away from this situation, because it almost feels like you're feeling it out, but you're trying to feel it out all at the same time without letting the situation fully unravel. Like you're trying to do damage control already and be prepared for any kind of outcome. But it kind of feels like, maybe an example would be the weather people predict that it's going to rain a little bit, and then you think that prediction is most definitely correct, which I I'm saying weather people because where I live, they're usually wrong. So, or like maybe just my app is wrong. But also it's Dutch weather, so it's whatever it wants to be. But the weather people say it's going to rain a little bit, and you think it's definitely going to rain a lot. So I will bring 2 jackets, 3 umbrellas, and 2 scarves. But then, from my experience, it often is just dry. Or it really is just a tiny bit of rain. I think, now thinking about it, maybe this was not the best example because I, in my head, wanted weather people to be both intuition or anxiety, but intuition when it's right and then anxiety when it's wrong. But then I guess that doesn't quite work. But I feel like maybe the expecting a little bit of rain and going out with like a lot of stuff just in case could be a little bit synonymous to kind of preparing yourself for the worst case scenario, even if there isn't anyone telling you that it will be the worst case scenario, except for anxious thoughts and intrusive thoughts, which are not the most accurate source of information. We have listened to your inner child. I didn't realize I was holding this in my hand the whole time, but I do think there is something to do with the inner child and possibly a wound that is being highlighted. You can't forget who you are. Process your emotions. Something there might be blocking your progress. I think progress in this case is you feeling liberated, free, comfortable, and at peace in your own energy and where you're at. You need to prioritize your well-being in this situation. Shift your focus, especially if you're putting a lot of focus on intrusive or anxious thoughts or worst case scenarios. Look at the bigger picture and reconsider that everything is not so black and white or absolute disaster or perfect. It will all make sense soon when the time is right. This for me, before anything, is to give yourself time to work through whatever emotions you are feeling. Because it may be very overwhelming to just try and figure it out in one go when it comes to any detail of this situation. So give yourself time to see where you're at, how you're feeling. Give yourself time to consider what you're seeing within this situation as well. Bottom deck energy is there is no need for concern now, all is well. Let's get some messages from this little message bag as well. All right, we have 2 more. Take it one step at a time. You don't need to have it all figured out. Yeah, what did I say? And new perspectives, which is basically shift your focus, but, well, or this, both of these. And yes, on this note, this is all I have for you, my beautiful pile ones. I hope this was helpful. I am sending you tons of love. Take care and bye. Hello, my beautiful pile twos, and welcome to your reading. We are looking into why you feel the way that you do. I don't know what the title of this video is going to be yet, so we're going into it with that thought in mind. But if you have been feeling odd or confused or just really strange, then I hope this reading helps you figure out what's going on. But anyway, let's get into these cards. We have North Node, Life's Purpose. This is Ten of Cups energy. And this is giving me the sense that you are in a place where you're about to enter a new phase of your life. It feels like a threshold kind of energy. It feels like you are on the path to getting something that you really want, something that is aligned with your best interests, something that matches your energy and the energy that you are willing to give out. But let me get all the cards before I get into this. I started way too soon, but I also feel like you may be getting some intuitive downloads that you are not acknowledging, or you are not paying a lot of attention to. It feels like something is going unnoticed, something that is wanting to show itself to you. And for some of you, I feel like this could have to do with a situation that you've been giving to that has not given you the same kind of energy back, that hasn't been able to match your energy. This could have to do with friends. It could have to do with a partner or an ex that you are in contact with, or someone that you still give energy to in some way, shape, or form. But it feels like you may be purposefully choosing to focus on the positives of a situation or focus on the potential of a connection rather than what it has shown you so far, rather than what it's actually given you. And I'm really drawn to how we have these eyes, like this eye here, and then we have this eye here, and then we have this gem that kind of has like a third eye kind of look to it. So it feels like there is information that has been presented to you that you may not want to deal with right now or focus on right now, which is perfectly okay if you feel like you don't have the space for it, you don't want to deal with it now, you don't want to give energy into figuring this out right now. But it does feel like there is this pending situation to be dealt with, some kind of decision that needs to be made so that the weight that you are carrying becomes less and you are able to move faster along the path towards the place that you want to be at. But it does feel like to get to this place, you may need to let go of something or some things, situations that may be holding you back from getting there. And I don't think it's necessarily that you must do it right now, like let it go, just do it. I'm not saying anything along those lines, but I feel like if you pay more attention to the signs that you are getting or to how certain situations make you feel, you may recognize that something that you are giving energy to right now is not serving you. But that doesn't mean that you can't take your time processing everything. It doesn't mean you can't take your time figuring things out, but it does feel like there is something that is holding you back from this Ten of Cups energy, from this joy, from this emotional fulfillment, from personal fulfillment. So it feels like if you feel odd or weird in some kind of way, I think it's because there may be certain aspects of a situation that don't feel quite okay, or that don't feel quite fair or balanced in certain ways. And I think it's important to see whatever this situation may be for what it is and what it has shown you. I'm really drawn to this snake right now because it feels like it's giving me like sixth sense energy. It's giving me instinct. But at the same time, it feels like there's a very strong push and pull about this situation where you may, on some level, recognize that it's not giving you what you want, but you may also not be in a place where you're willing to bring that up to deal with it, if that makes sense. But of course, if this does not sound like where you're at, then this is probably not your reading. But I do think you have a strong intuition that you have maybe silenced a little bit. And it may have been silenced by anxious thoughts or fearful thoughts, especially around losing something that you would want to keep in your life. But this feels like a case where there is a need to accept that right now, in the form that this thing is in, it doesn't seem to be serving your highest good. It doesn't seem to be making you feel good. And it doesn't feel like it has made you feel genuinely good, or like it is giving you the kind of energy that you deserve for a while. For some of you, this may have to do with a career as well that you haven't felt very satisfied in. But this is telling me that there is something unresolved, something that feels quite off balance, and this thing may be what is making you feel kind of off, because it feels like you're about to take this dive into a new era, but there is something like a rope that's tied to you that's holding you back to a tree that's on the cliff. I'm talking about trees and cliffs suddenly because I am visualizing this kind of green cliff with this portal, and you're about to jump off into this portal, into the next era, into the next phase of your life. But there is a tree that is tied to your body, and the tree is rooted on the cliff. So it feels like there is a need to liberate yourself from any thoughts, beliefs, situations, people that may not be serving you, and know that you do have the strength to walk away from situations that are not giving you what you need. And you shouldn't feel guilt about it. You shouldn't feel ashamed about it. You shouldn't feel ashamed about if you do. Staying in a situation that hasn't served you, or giving energy to a situation that hasn't matched your energy, that's not on you. That's not your fault that it didn't play out how you would have wanted it to or expected it to. That's not on you. Because I feel like whatever this situation is, it feels like you gave it your best shot. It feels like you really tried your best and you fought for it. But it feels like it is also time to accept that about yourself too, that you have given it all that you can, and maybe there isn't a whole lot at this point, at this moment in time, within the current circumstances, that you can do about it. That doesn't mean that there would never be a return to this situation, or it would never change, the circumstances would never change. But essentially, I think it's important to see the situation for what it is, it has shown itself to be, rather than a potential future possibility that it may have of becoming something better, or becoming something that matches your energy. And this is not to say that like one thing goes wrong and you should give up. I'm saying this because I feel like a lot of things have gone wrong, or a lot of things have not worked out in the way that you would have hoped for. within this connection. It feels like a string of things that didn't quite match your energy. This could be someone who didn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated, someone who didn't match your energy. It could be a career where you put in a lot of effort, and then the people that you are surrounded by, or a boss, or whatever it may be, it almost feels a bit like this situation could be discouraging you from seeing yourself in an authentic light, seeing yourself for who you really are. It almost feels like this situation has made you contain yourself, contain your potential, and make yourself smaller than you should be. You should be proud of who you are, how hard you work, rather than making yourself small to make other people or just others comfortable. You deserve to be comfortable too. And I just feel like this is a situation that has taken from your peace. And I think it's important to look at this from the perspective of, I deserve to have peace. And I gave this my best shot. And if it's still not working out for me, then maybe it's time I stop giving to this connection, focus on other things I have going for me, focus on other things I would like to have going for me. And if the situation wants to come back in a different shape, as an improved version of itself, then maybe I'll consider it. So I'm not trying to give you this kind of black and white thing where in the end it's up to you what you do, essentially. It is your choice, so you are not forced to do anything. But if there is a situation in your life that kind of feels quite off balance, I think it could be seeping into other areas of your life and making you feel off balance and kind of anxious, like you're on the verge of something that is just not coming, it's just not happening. It just feels off. This could be why. And if this doesn't sound like the situation that you are in, or it sounds kind of like the situation that you are in, but not exactly, I see some connections to pile 1 in this, so that could be of interest. But if not, and you are sticking with me to see this pile through, let's get into the tarot and see what else we can understand better about your current emotional body. I just saw the Chariot. Cancer energy could be significant, but it also feels like an energy of build your strength, build your courage, and go. Because Cancer for me is a very intuitive energy, and it's an energy that moves from the heart space, moves like, is guided by the heart space, let's say. And it almost feels like you know where to go, like the path is already set. You've already put it in the GPS, but you just have not started driving yet. That's what it feels like. We have Temperance in reverse. Sagittarius energy could be significant, but it doesn't have to be. We have the Empress in reverse. I feel like this situation that is unbalanced, that has maybe been unbalanced for much longer than ideal, much longer than necessary, it may be making you feel really ungrounded, really uncertain, really up in the air, and that's not a nice thing to feel. It can also make you doubt yourself in ways that you shouldn't have to. I feel like for some of you, this could be a situation that has made you feel insecure or less than. But I think it's important to to tell you that I really don't think whatever image of you this situation may have painted is accurate. I don't think so. And I hope you can see that too. I hope you're able to see it, because I don't want to take sides. I always try to be as objective as possible when I do readings, but sidebar, I feel like this is just not a situation where you have been treated fairly. We have the Seven of Wands in reverse. We have the actually, let's keep on going from this side. Sometimes I like to switch sides. We have the Five of Wands. Now we have the Eight of Wands. Look at this out of balance energy here. Like ungrounded, up in the air, confusing. And then we have this Two of Pentacles and this Eight of Wands energy. So this feels like as soon as you act in a way that honors your intuition, what your inner voice is telling you, whatever it may be saying. And I'm saying that because look at this fish that is like taking this person, and they have a lot going for them. They're living their best life. There's love, stuff to focus on, like physical stuff to focus on, some pentacles, a lot of emotion, companions traveling with them. And I feel like this is where you are headed. As soon as this kind of unresolved energy feels settled again. And to do this, I think there is a need to have an honest conversation with yourself in your own time. And this conversation can take 2 hours, it can take 2 weeks. So there's no time limit on it either, or when you should do the things that you feel called to do. Just do them in your own time whenever you're ready. But I do feel like the best way to resolve this feeling is to have an honest conversation with yourself, and to be really, really, really honest with yourself, and then with whoever else may be involved in this situation, or like a boss or a partner, family member, friend. We have the Chariot in reverse. It feels like something is holding you back from your path. And for me, this energy confirms it. And the Chariot also showed up a while back already. We have the Four of Wands as well. A lot of Wands energy. So, and Wands make me think of manifestation. They make me think of energy. They make me think of things that we don't necessarily see, but we can perceive, like we know. And although water is a suit I would directly associate with intuition, I think fire is a close second. Because I think it also is very much about energy that is just like energy, quite literally. Not like pentacles, not like air, because that makes me think of thoughts and words and communication. But this feels like energetic communication, like the universe, spirit guides, whatever you feel comfortable calling it. It feels like they are calling to you and trying to show you something, trying to bring this into your attention, and trying to encourage you to consider the bigger picture as well. I'm going to give this 2 more shuffles to see if anything else wants to come through. This feels like an energy of finding home, finding where you belong, the path that you belong on. It feels like big celebration energy. It feels like union or reunion with yourself, and maybe union with people that will help you on your journey, will help you grow, will make your life feel exciting, and will be there as you thrive. Now let's get some channeled messages to finish off this reading. You need to connect to your intuition. Trust in the signs you receive. It does feel like something really is trying to come through. So you could be seeing synchronicities, specific numbers. There is more to be revealed in this situation. And I feel like this is in reference to information that may be presented to you, but that you may not be looking at. Everything will fall into place when the time is right. Allow yourself to be brave. Pretty much what we were talking about. There is no need to try to control this situation. I think this refers to this situation in question, that you may have done everything you can about, and if it still has not worked out that way, I think it's important to see that the responsibility doesn't fall on your shoulders anymore to control the outcome, especially if it involves another person. You shouldn't have to convince anyone that you deserve to be treated better, or that you deserve different, or that you want them to, like, you shouldn't have to convince someone to give you the energy that you deserve, essentially, if that is the kind of situation that you are in. You shouldn't have to do that, and there will be many people, and I'm sure there have been people that you have crossed paths with that have chosen to give you the kind of energy that you deserve. I don't necessarily mean romantic partners, but I also mean everyone that you may have crossed paths with. But it is a choice, and not everyone may choose to match your energy, but that doesn't say anything about you or your worth. And it absolutely doesn't define you. You need to prioritize your well-being in this situation. Are you holding on to things that don't serve you? And I just want to point out once again that I would say this message would not apply to a situation if, like, you haven't communicated what you want, or you haven't, like, seen through, really. So I'm not saying this about a situation that has not shown you that it is not matching your energy. And that I'm only talking about a situation that you may have tried to fix or balance out. And that you have given a chance to, like, match your energy. And especially if this is about a relationship, sometimes it takes time to learn each other's language, and it takes effort to kind of adapt to each other in certain ways and compromise. So I'm not saying to make a premature decision, but if you are holding on to something... Oh, we also have, are you holding on to beliefs that limit you? Bottom deck energy is shift your perspective and you will see. I lost my previous train of thought, but if you have an inner knowing about a situation, even if you have not acknowledged it so far, I think you will know. Once you clear the external noise or extra noise. This one fell on my wrist. Let's see what we have. We have new perspective. This also came out for pile 1. And bottom deck energy was shift your perspective and you will see. So I will take that as a double message. You are protected. You are safe. Absolutely. I think you are very supported, very loved, very protected. So I hope that you are able to see that and feel that and embody that too. There is great power in acceptance. Seeing the situation for what it is. Shift your focus. I'm just going to put this here. And if you are very much focusing on this situation or like how to make it better or pouring a lot of energy into something that is not cooperating with you, I think it could be helpful to focus on other areas of your life and to see that there is a lot of excitement and a lot of exploring to do in different areas, different situations too. And we also have you are strong enough. I think so too. I've only felt a little glimpse of your energy, but I absolutely agree with this. So I hope you're able to feel that about yourself too. And I think on this note, this is all I have for you, my beautiful pile 2s. I hope this was helpful. I'm sending you lots of love. Take care and bye. Hello, my beautiful pile 3s, and welcome to your reading where we will be looking at why you feel the way you do. If you've been feeling a little bit weird, kind of odd, or just strange. So let's see what we have. We are starting off your reading with Chiron healing. Pisces energy could be significant, as well as Leo with the number 8. We have the vow. We have the hearts, the dead end. We have another 8, law of balance. We have number 13, which makes me think of the death card in the tarot. So Scorpio energy could also be significant, but it doesn't have to be. Now to get into these energies. It feels like you may feel disappointed as kind of a main emotion. That may have led to certain feelings of self-doubt and insecurity. And to get into this feeling of disappointment, it feels like for some of you, you may have been working towards a specific goal. This could be manifesting something, manifesting a connection. It could be manifesting some kind of opportunity. But whatever this thing is, it feels like it hasn't exactly gone the way you expected or happened in the timeline that you would expect, that you feel you were promised. It almost feels like you may feel that someone went back on their promise. Someone didn't fulfill something. Oh, there is a strand of my hair. I apologize. It almost feels like, I don't know why, but that strand of hair, it made me think of clues. Like you have been shown clues and signs and you've expressed what you want, but it almost feels like this feeling of being unheard, because my throat just started like hurting a little bit. And it almost feels like you've called out a lot. You've like said everything you can. You've specified what you want, what you're working for. You set your eyes on the prize, but maybe it just didn't come. It's that kind of feeling here, a little bit of disappointment, some frustration, and maybe the fact that this hasn't come in the way or at the time you expect it to, or it hasn't come yet, whatever it may be, even if it's not like a thing necessarily, I feel like the speed at which this thing happens, or how it happens, I think it's important to separate your sense of self and your abilities and your worth from this thing, from the speed at which it comes, from the way it comes, from how it happens. I think it's important to put this into the perspective of good things can take time. And there are things in this situation that I may not be seeing or recognizing. But that doesn't mean that something isn't happening behind the scenes. And it almost feels like this feels like an ending when it is not. Because I'm really drawn to this like single hand here. Like, so there may be a feeling of feeling abandoned or left behind or just forgotten about and unheard. But then here we have the vow. And it's not like, it's like 3 hands or 4 hands. And it is surrounded by this darkness too. But there's also so much light around this. So I feel like there's a need to look at the bigger picture and recognize that there may be more going on behind the scenes than what you can see right now. And to not let this discourage you just because something may be taking a lot of time. It's normal to feel frustrated or upset about it. But I think it's important to also recognize that you are not unheard, you are not forgotten about. And it almost feels like something, like there is still healing going on, and especially if you've been healing something specific, or especially if you feel like you had healed something and it came back up again, there may be a feeling of like disappointment that it's back or that it wasn't healed. But to me, this almost feels like coming out from the dark into the light, and how your eyes have to adjust to seeing in the light after being in the dark for a while. Because it's too bright and it's just kind of weird. Everything seems a bit too bright for a second. And it almost feels like as you move into this lighter phase of your life, you may not be able to recognize, you may not be able to see some things clearly, maybe because you're not used to things working out for you, or you may have an underlying feeling that you're not worthy of the things that you want, which it's not true. You absolutely are worthy of whatever it is that you desire. You're worthy of things that are good for you, that make you feel good. You deserve to feel loved, appreciated, cared for. And before anyone else, you deserve to feel these from yourself. And it almost feels like this kind of rocky patch, or these frustrations, you could have been taking these out on yourself. And I feel like that's not fair on you. And you may feel like other people or other things around you are not fair either. But if that's the reason, you have all the more reason to be fair and compassionate towards your own self. And if you are in situations that feel unfair, I understand that it may be very frustrating or discouraging. And I feel like this is a time of kind of taking stock of everything happening in your life right now, happening for you right now. And to also recognize situations or beliefs or perspectives that are not helping you on your path, that may be kind of holding you back. And I think it's important to see any way you may be holding yourself back. or any way you may be very much internalizing things that are not actually connected to your self-worth. You may be defining yourself through things that are external, when that's not what defines you. What defines you is you. And I think, because I mean, beyond all of these labels of being someone something, or being a painter, or being an accountant, or whatever it may be, you are you beyond all of that. And I feel like if you have been going through a rough patch and kind of being pushed to your limits, it is so you connect yourself on a deeper level and create such a bond with yourself that it cannot be broken or interrupted by any external force. This cycle for me is a lot about emotional healing, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, opening up to your intuition, and staying open, even if it takes a lot of courage. Because I think it's important to recognize that you can't just live in fear and avoid things, or allow yourself to be discouraged by difficult or uncontrollable circumstances. There will always be things out of your control that may not always go the way you want them to. And I feel like if there have been obstacles along your path, they may have discouraged you in certain ways that could be making you feel disconnected from yourself and disappointed in yourself, or just disappointed with where you're at. You may be feeling a bit lost. And I feel like while things are balancing out behind the scenes, and I think there is a lot going on the outside, it may look like stagnation. This for me is similar to, like, you look at someone and it looks like they're just sitting. It doesn't look like they are doing anything at all. But behind all of that, their heart is pumping blood. They are thinking about things. They are maybe feeling hungry. There's a lot that's happening. They have hormones going around in them. Their brain is lighting up. So I feel like it's important to see that things may not be happening in the way you expect them to, or very visibly, but that doesn't mean things are not happening beyond what you can observe. Especially if you have self-doubt and insecurities clouding your intuition, it may become even more difficult to pick up on these things that are happening, or to become aware of them. Because if you are not open to that kind of information, if you're in a place where you are not able to see it, then you will not see it. And this also feels like you may be healing through some things that you are not aware of right now, but once, like, it almost feels like at a certain point you would go, aha, that's what was happening all along. And with healing, if you are experiencing triggers from something you thought you left behind, I think it's just normal. It's a part of healing. It's maybe completely detaching it from yourself, or it's something that you are still learning about. You may have healed it. You may have healed from it, and now you may have much better tools of dealing with it, but don't let any kind of discouraging feelings that you feel hold you back from putting your knowledge into use and seeing for yourself how much you have grown and how you should be proud of yourself. instead of letting yourself feel small. I think you can feel emotions to a very immense depth, but I think the flip side of that can sometimes be that it's not just positive emotions that you can feel so strongly, but also the negative ones. And it's important to not get tangled up in that kind of energy, because I think it has a lot to do with the perspective. Like, this looks like very tangled and dark, and then I'm looking at this image where this looks like a bird's nest to me. And a bird's nest is home. It's safe. It is where baby birds get nurtured, where they learn to fly. And I feel like this is the environment you are in, while you may feel like this is where you're at. And I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings. If you feel that way, you just feel that way, and it's just a feeling. But what I mean is that these feelings, or kind of things not working out in the exact way that you want right now, or not at the exact speed that you want right now, or you maybe not being where you want to be right now, these are not things that define you. These are things outside of you. But let's get into the tarot. If this sounds like your situation, and if not, of course, this is most likely not your reading. But let's get into the tarot and see what else wants to come through. Why does pile 3 feel odd? We have the Queen of Swords in reverse. I think it may have to do with the story that you are telling yourself about certain things, about certain situations, maybe about a specific connection, maybe about an opportunity that you feel you missed. But I genuinely believe that if something is truly meant for you, and I use the word meant for or meant to be, I use these very loosely. I don't mean this in the sense that these are set in stone, but if something is a match to your energy and it is something that you desire, I don't think it's going to pass you by because you failed to meet some kind of deadline. I don't think the universe is so petty that they're like, oh, you didn't do this before 11:59 on Tuesday. Well, guess what? You lose. I don't think it works that way. You don't get a 0 on your healing assignment because you didn't make the deadline. You're working together, and there is no deadline. You set the deadline. You're your own boss. You decide. And I think there is freedom in recognizing that as well, that you are not running on somebody else's deadline, including other people and what they're doing with their journey, because your healing journey, your growth journey, it's your own. You're never going to be completely identical to someone else, not even if you're twins. We have the King of Cups in reverse. You may be feeling like your emotions are controlling you rather than you like being in control of and observing your emotions, and this may be making you feel very ungrounded and very unsafe, especially if you don't feel a strong connection to yourself right now, because it almost feels like you may have come to, for some of you, resent yourself for how things played out when it wasn't your fault in the first place, and how things played out are not a reflection of your worth, especially if someone has mistreated you in some way. With these 2 kings in reverse, I feel like other people or one other specific person may have a role in how this energy played out as well. We have the Nine of Cups in reverse. We have the Tower in reverse. We have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Seven of Swords in reverse. I think it's important to be honest with yourself about your feelings and to recognize that just because you feel negative things, it doesn't mean that you are inherently completely unhealed or back to square one or you've been working for nothing. It doesn't mean anything along those lines. It just means that you are human, having a very human reaction to experiencing human situations. And there is nothing more normal than that. But I feel like you need to be more gentle with yourself and allow yourself to have time and space to experience things as you need to, rather than running on some kind of deadline or feeling like things are gonna pass you by or leave you behind. I don't think that's the case at all, but there seems to be this maybe some kind of self-limiting belief that prevents you from being present where you are on your journey right now and enjoying the ride. And I understand that it's not always easy to be present, especially when there is so much to figure out. If you feel that there is so much to figure out about the past or so much to look forward to or prevent in the future. But I think it's important to practice being in the present, as it is the only thing that exists right now. As for the past, when you're watching this reading, I will have already filmed it, and while I will be speaking in your present, I've already said all these things and it's done, and I can't go back and change it. I mean, I probably could if I edited this, but it will never be the thing I actually said in that moment. So while it's, I think, perfectly natural to worry about things that may have happened in the past, how we may have shown up in the past, I think it's also important to look at it from the perspective of, I cannot change the past. So while I can learn from it, while I can grow from it, I cannot go back there and undo what happened. I cannot respond differently. I cannot do something else because it's gone. And I think there is a lot of peace that somehow comes with accepting that it has happened. It may have not felt great, but it's gone now. And I think that can help put things into perspective. I am by no means saying like just let it go, let things be in the past, move on, it's done, or anything along those lines. I think it's perfectly normal to feel the need to process the past and things that have happened to us, to learn from our experiences, to feel whatever we need to. It's an essential part of just existing. But I think it's also important to notice what situations are out of our control. The past is out of our control. Sometimes other factors are out of our control. And essentially, there's not much we can do about it. And I think it brings a lot of peace to accept that in some things you can't really play a part anymore. And as for the future, if you have worries about something coming in or whether it's going to come in, you are essentially spending your present living in the future in a hypothetical that has not happened yet. And of course, it's nice to daydream about the future and think about things that we want, where we want to be. I don't mean things like that, but if there is a lot of anxiety that comes in about the future, that you feel about the future, if there is a lot of rumination, I think it's important to see that you have to set yourself free from feeling like you need to be in the past or in the future, because you are not in the past or the future right now. You are here. And you don't have to control both the past and the future and right now, because I think that is also a lot of pressure to feel like you should always be in control of all of these things that could potentially happen or that have happened. It would be exhausting, I think. And it feels like by putting like all this pressure or expectations on yourself in certain situations in your life, you may be taking from your present moment and causing a disconnect between you, yourself, right now. Because you need yourself here now, in your present, and not in the future and not in the past. And I also feel like things are absolutely moving for you. We have the Fool, the Six of Cups, and the Knight of Wands. The Six of Cups for me gives me the sense that it gives me the sense of deep connection with your roots, with yourself, with your higher self. And I think there is a call here to connect more with yourself so that you can have courage to keep going and to see yourself in a more accurate light, rather than not. I'll give this 3 more shuffles. We also have Cancer energy coming through very strongly. The Four of Wands for me also is very much Cancer energy. We have Aquarius and Scorpio with the Tower as well, and Pisces with the Moon. We have practice compassion coming out, and especially self-compassion. Are you holding on to things that don't serve you? There is no need to try to control this situation. There it is. It's okay to ask for help. You are not alone. There are blessings on their way to you. Are you holding on to beliefs that limit you? Okay. We have a bunch that fell out. We have Soothe Your Soul, You Are Safe. Connect to Your Roots, 4th house. Cancer energy, again. There's another one that flipped, but oh, there it is. We have Process Your Emotions. Something there might be blocking your progress. We have Be Proud of How Much You Have Grown. Move into an energy of gratitude. And this for me is an energy of staying in the present. I should probably add that too, but yeah, I didn't. But I wrote that to kind of talk about being in the present, being mindful, being aware of our surroundings, just beyond just gratitude. We have Keep Moving Forward. There is so much more to see. And the bottom deck energy is look at the bigger picture and reconsider. And also, don't compare yourself to others. This is your journey. Okay, that was very fast. I just wanted to give it a shuffle, but they wanted to come out already. We have Practice Gratitude. Okay. You are beautiful. You are good enough. Take it one step at a time. You don't need to have it all figured out. It's all in your own time. You are the love of your life. I had this realization, I think like 3 years ago now, right around when 2.5 years ago, right when I started doing tarot. I just randomly had that realization and it changed my life. So if you haven't put thought into this, I think it's something, it deserves some thinking. I think it deserves some consideration. And we have third eye. So your intuition may be a bit cloudy right now, but I think by giving yourself space to connect and reconnect with yourself and putting things into perspective, you will be able to have a much better understanding of the situations that you are in as well. And on this note, this is all I have for you, my pile threes. I hope this was helpful. I'm sending you tons of love. Take care and bye.